Today I'm gonna removing the mirrors, because the bottom nut, this one here, is reverse thread and the upper one is just regular. So with this one you have to spin it towards you counterclockwise to loosen it. So I'm gonna use this old mirror I have. I've had this on, I don't know, like 100 bikes and it's my backup before I buy the bar end mirrors that I need. I'm probably gonna buy a handlebar or something and then put the bar end mirrors eventually, but for now I want to take those ugly mirrors off and then just run this. This was an old bar end mirror, but I lost the centerpiece. So this will just clamp onto the 7/8 bar like that, and then at least I can ride around without getting a ticket from it. The whole reason I'm taking the mirrors off, basically, besides being ugly, I want to put my RSC clutch lever on. It makes shifting and stunting and just popping the clutch a lot easier. This thing's badass. I've used this on so many bikes. I just keep using it. They don't die. And they have lifetime warranty if the bearing inside goes bad or whatever, but honestly, these things are bulletproof. Okay, so there are some disadvantages to doing this. With the MT-03 and MT-07 and a bunch of other bikes that I've had in the Grom too, there's a little electronic switch. Basically, if you pull it in, you can start your bike in gear, and it allows you to fire up the bike. With this mod, you won't be able to use this. You might be able to bridge jump it, I guess, maybe, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to unplug it like I always do with my MT-07 and FT-07s I had. Just unplug it, basically. It's just a little tab right here. You unplug it like this, and then what I'm going to do is tape it up real good and make sure it's waterproof. The water doesn't get in there like that. You got brain done, so. And then we're gonna undo the cabling and undo this little guy right here. Is I think a 10mm. But basically, what we're gonna have to do is, here's your clutch adjustment, like the primary 12mm. Damn, it's hard to say. So crack it loose like that, and you want it all the way out as much as possible. I wouldn't go off the thing here. It doesn't really matter actually, but anyways, get that real loose, and then what you're gonna do is pull this forward like that, and along with the cable with two hands, which is kind of hard to do. So pull it like that, and then with this one, get it away from that lock. There's a little lock nut that's there, keep it steady. So just get it away from that thing, and once it's off of there, that's a breeze. What you want is like the maximum adjustment possible, because it's going to be really different with that new clutch lever. And there's another company out there, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's like One Finger, I think it is, something like that. But I like the Righteous Stunt clutch levers, RSC. So anyways, yeah, you want the nuts like that, as much adjustment as possible like that. It's gonna be super loose. That's good. That's what you want. Now up here, it's going to be loose also, and that's good. You want that real loose, and then we're going to crack this one loose because it's all connected with this the factory mount. All right, guys. So now that this is super loose, with the adjustment down here is loose, and this is loose. You see there's a little slot in this this thing here. You're going to have to line it up with this one here, which is pretty tight actually right now. But you see how you got to line these two up, and then with that you can slide the cable out, kind of like this. I got one of them out. I'm going to have to use both hands for a second. So hold on. Right, guys, I had to turn up the brightness because you couldn't see it on the camera, but you can move this dial here. And what you want to do is line it up with the slot of the lever here. It's got that slot where the cable goes through. You want to line them up like that. And what you're going to do is pull it out, and then you have to rotate it and do a little finagling. And then now that that's loose, there's a little steel nut that's on the cable itself. It's got to come out through here. Pop it down, and it should pop out like that. All right, so now that that bolt is completely removed, we're going to have to remove this this thing here. So the bar end here from the factory is going to be a 5mm Allen key and a little hex head. But pull that bad boy out and don't lose that little screw. And here's the factory bar end. It's screwed into the bars, and this is why you have to get aftermarket bars to run bar end mirrors. But until then, I'm just gonna use that little mirror I was showing you earlier. So now we gotta slide the grip, slide this off. Oh, we have to crack those Allen keys in here, crack them loose too, and get that off also. All right, guys. So that thing is a little 3mm hex Allen key. So crack that one loose. Actually, we have to remove those completely, and then we'll go from there. They're exactly the same length, so you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes the upper one is a little longer than the bottom, or vice versa. So in this case, they're the same, so you don't have to worry about it. And then now you're gonna have two halves. This thing's gonna split in two halves. That's good. That's what you want. Get that out of the way. I forgot these things are glued on. So what we're gonna have to do is run a long, skinny screwdriver in there and break the seal with the glue. Use this long, skinny flathead screwdriver and break the seal. I'm gonna go from this way and then work it around like this and break it loose. Once you have it shoved in there like this, you can actually wiggle it through, break that seal, and then pull towards you, and it should come off slowly. Another thing I forgot to mention is when you order your RSC clutch lever, you want to get this spacer in here. On certain bikes, it makes a huge difference, and I just run on all of them. You get the full engagement of the clutch. And also, there's a secondary, so I like using it in the closest hole right here. It gives you the easiest engagement, easiest finger pull. This one here is like a standard, I guess, but I prefer this one. Another thing you're going to want to do is put some lube on it. So I like to put some lube in that hole right there, and along where the cable would run through here. Just go ahead and line it up with, remember, the inner hole, the one closest to the bar, is what you want to put this in there. Go ahead and slide in that thing right there. Make sure it's all lubed up, like I said. And you might have to even apply force like this to get the maximum leverage to get the wire through here. You got to line up, remember, through the slots. So now that you have them lined up like this, go ahead and spin this one just so where it doesn't come out while we figure out the rest. So once you have them lined up like this, what you want is the perch on the front side of the bike. Don't put it on the other side, that'd be stupid, because you want the maximum extension on this side. So go ahead and thread these in, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, thread them in so where you still have enough, you can still wiggle it around to adjust it, because we're gonna have to put this guy first before we do this. I went ahead and removed this guy here. It's just a little clip that holds all the wires together here. And then I'm gonna remove this one also. This is a good time now to run some electrical tape on this and then a zip tie so no water gets in there. Okay, so what I did is I ran a little piece this way, long ways, around both sides, and then I ran a second piece around it the other way, just to really make sure there's waterproof. And then I'm gonna zip tie over it. I ended up wrapping it gaffer's tape over the electrical tape and ran a zip tie just in case. Okay, so I want to make a note, it's pretty important. With the factory bars, they always have these drilled in holes like this. That's to line this guy up right here, that little nub right there. That guy right there, it's got to go in that hole right there. With aftermarket bars, a lot of guys, you can drill them, or what a lot of guys do, you can just grind that nub off and then you can put this wherever you want on the bar. It should look something like that, where you got it lined up. Now we're going to have to put the little 3mm Allen key bolts in there, and then tighten this guy up. Once you got it lined up with that hole, put the lever on this side of the, whatever the switch is. And then what you want to make sure is it doesn't hit. You gotta make sure it clears right there. So I actually got the wire ties from the factory. I removed both of those. I think I'm just gonna run a zip tie to make a little bit more room so it's not so tight, because you don't want these cabling to bind or get real tight or anything like that. You need the most you can use right now. So now what we're gonna do is gonna slide the grip back on, put the bar end on, and then last we're gonna set where you want the clutch at, a rough estimate where you want that, and then we're gonna do the adjustment. I'll show you how to do that. When reinserting the bar end, there's a little lip on the on this piece right here, where it makes contact with the actual handbar. Make sure you line that up before you tighten it up, otherwise it'll be cockeyed and won't fit right. So now you have this little gap. You're gonna slide the grip down over the bar end right here. Okay, so now that this is slid over the top, like I was saying, tighten that down. Make sure this is tightened up. Keep this still loose just in case until we figure out the adjustment. What you want to do is make sure this is still loose. Make sure that's fully wide open, like that. Get more thread showing, so that gives me a little bit more room to work with. In a second, I'll show you. So about like that is good. So now we're on this side of the bike. We're gonna find the clutch right here. All right, what you want to do is on Yamahas, I know on other bikes too, there's usually a little dot. You see that little dot right there? This little arrow, you got to line them up. So what I like to do is press it like this, hold it, and what you're gonna have to do is tighten this wire as tight, but make sure there's no wiggle room right here. So make sure it's wide open like that. I'll try to do this while filming. It's not easy. Okay, so put tension on like this. The cable, pull it like that, so you see I have a little bit of room left. Pull it like that, and then try to tighten this as much as you can. So right about there is really good. See how there's no room right there, where there's no wiggle in the cable? That's what you want. So now you can tighten this guy back down with a 12mm. And don't kill it. I've done that before on my MT-07 and broke it, so don't do that. So you just want to snug it up. And make sure the nut on this side is lined up and against lock on this side. So just gently, you can just use one finger like this, just to, like that. That's good. Don't do more than that. You'll strip out the damn thing and have to order another one. The primary clutch setting is set. Now we're going to go up here and do the fine tune. Point with your finger, but keep it all like angled like that, and right around there is where I like. That's my preference, just with the angle of your arm like this. Set it right about there. So go ahead and tighten those Allen. It's 5mm Allen keys. Both of those right there. Okay, so another important thing I forgot to mention. When doing adjustments on bikes, especially levers and handlebars, always do the upper one first, the one towards the front of the bike. Tighten those first before you do the bottom. So go ahead and tighten that. All right, guys, we're in wheelie mode now. I am. So this gap right here, you want to, some guys do like about the width of a dime, like about like that as a play, but you can literally feel where the cable touches, where it makes tension. And this is nice. I have a little bit set open a little bit further just in case as a safety, and that's good. A little bit more is okay. It gets safer than being too tight. You don't want to be too tight because it won't fully engage. You can actually have it wider like that if you want, but I personally like it really snappy, so I can pop it up real easy. See all that lube in there? Ooh. Zip tie these to the bar like this just to get them out of the way. But make sure if you're gonna zip tie it, don't forget this little guy. So I'm gonna zip tie these like this against the bar, and then leave this section loose here. So do this part. Before we go ride, just make sure there's no tension in the cable. When we turn left and right, make sure that the clutch still feels good. When I unplug that little electrical plug with the RSC clutch lever, more than likely you're gonna have to start it in neutral every time. That's the only downfall to doing this. All right, guys, so I'm all done. I ended up having to use this mirror on the right side only because of this funky angle. I don't know where I must have lost the other mirror, but this is all just temporary, so I can legally ride, and it just looks so much better, so much cleaner like that. Damn, it looks good, way better. Go test it out and see if you have to make any adjustments, and now you know what to do.